Hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you. As you know, I scour the earth to find the best of the best. And I didn't have to look far this time. I found somebody in Milwaukee. And actually, the cool part is I've done a bunch of work with him before. And so I want to tell the world about Mark Concannon. How are you today, sir?
Dave, I'm doing great, and I appreciate your high praise there.
Oh,
Very
no
nice.
worries. No, as president of Concannon Communications, I'm always honored to hang out with presidents of companies. So, and it says on your LinkedIn profile, you help brands blow up. So it's like, wow, that's pretty cool stuff. So thank you for hanging out with us for a little bit. You did some fantastic video work for me when I first started my company, and we did video blogs, and oh my gosh, we did some fun stuff together. So
Yeah.
thank you again. Still utilizing the content, still get positive comments on your work. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to help tell your story. You've got a great story, and not surprising that you have blown up to where you are today.
Well, thank you for that. And there's just so many things that I want to learn. But first of all, I want to kind of tell the world also that you're an Emmy Award winner. So tell us about that a little bit.
Well, in my previous life, for many, many years, I was a TV news anchor and reporter, also a sportscaster, and worked at Channel 6 in Milwaukee for 23 years.
Wow.
Many ports of call before that, as TV news tends to take you around the country a little bit. But Milwaukee is our home, and worked at Fox 6 for 23 years, and worked with some really incredibly talented people, editors and videographers, who made me look great and helped us win those awards, for different stories and profiles. And was fortunate enough to work with a team that has tremendously high standards, does excellent work, and was just really privileged to be part of that effort and to get those awards.
That's awesome. So you must have started when you were about 9.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're working there that long, it's like, man, you're not that old. So you started at a young age.
Yeah, so I was a child prodigy. Yes, like both stars in TV news. Yeah.
Good. Well, good to know. So, one of the things that we like to talk about is, especially in your case here, Mark, where you transition from, I'm going to call it the corporate world into owning your own business.
Right.
There's a lot of people that listen. I get calls from people they want to jump in, but they don't know how. And so when I get the opportunity to ask what that transition looked like for you, share with us, if you can, some of the thoughts and some of the planning, or maybe you jumped in with both feet. How did that transition work for you?
Well, again, I had been in TV news for a really long time, and been at Channel 6 for 23 years.
Yeah.
And in 2010, I just felt that it was time.
Okay.
It was time to do some other things with storytelling, and love my time at Channel 6. Still have great friends there. And for me, the transition was fairly natural. My role at Channel 6 for the last 20 years that I was there, I co-hosted the Wake Up News.
Okay.
And by definition, our approach was to be very cheerful. You don't want to have people wake up in the morning and just overwhelm them with doom and gloom. I mean, there's enough of that that's going to be in the news anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was never an investigative, dirty dining type of guy. Now, I have a lot of respect for those folks who do that. That's a hard job, but that was never me.
Yeah.
I was always more of the, hey, it's the first day of Summerfest. Isn't this great?
Sure.
Kind of guy.
Yeah.
So, as I looked to transition out of TV news, it was a natural for me to turn to video to help people tell their stories, because I've been doing that my whole life, whether in TV news and now, working with different clients. And it was a very natural transition for me, because in essence, what I do now is for my clients to tell the world, hey, aren't they great? So this was a very good fit for my personality and just my way of presenting stories. So,
Awesome.
that's how it happened. And, it really helped. I mean, what's the number one thing when you're trying to hang out your own shingle? It's your differentiator. What makes you someone I want to do business with? Well,
Sure.
the fact that I was on TV here for such a long time, a fair amount of people knew my name in the community. So if I made a pitch for a possible project, folks would at least look down and say, oh, hey, I remember this guy. He looked semi-intelligent on TV. Let's give him a try.
Sure.
And that was a very big advantage for me,
Nice.
not having to start from square one.
Sure.
And, that was a great advantage. But then what I really enjoyed about the process was then learning so much about prospecting and networking and getting out and meeting so many different people. I mean, that's how you and I met at a networking event all those years ago.
Yeah.
And that was just terrific for me to discover so many different people doing all this great work, and just learning about how they went about becoming, entrepreneurs and owning their own small businesses and making their way forward. Video storytelling, I've been doing it my whole life, know a ton about it. Business, that's been a great learning curve for me and a great learning experience.
There you go.
And I've had a lot of great folks, help me along the way, just take me under their wing and say, hey, have you thought about this? And just really have soaked it up. So what I've learned in the last almost 11 years now, since I left Channel 6, it has been such a tremendous education that really has taken me in different directions. I never could have envisioned doing what I did before this, which I loved. But I'm so grateful now to have this opportunity to continue to tell stories and to learn so much about different aspects of business and things like that.
Sure. And that's so funny because we're kind of opposite, where the business was ingrained in me my whole life. And for me, the storytelling and the video, the things that are second nature to you, it's like, okay, I have to learn these, because I remember how many takes did it take me to do some of my video blogs with you at the beginning. It was like, I'm like, sorry, Mark, I can get this. Trust me, I can get this, so.
It's all good, man. It's all learning. I tell people that all the time. It's like, if we're shooting an interview with you for a video, it's not me on TV. This isn't live. This is the first take thing. And hey, let's work together. I'll coach you up a little bit on what you might want to say. But you were great. I mean, once you got going, and that's it. It's just repetition, right? The more comfortable you get, the more times you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that cool. Part of it has been great. Just working with folks and getting their brands out there.
That's awesome. So I think the other thing that you bring up that I want to make sure that people kind of get is that, it was a process for you where some people feel like they have to know everything before they actually open that business or start it, and it sounded like from your perspective, the business piece you learned as you went. And so I would encourage people, if they're listening to that are in that spot, it's okay to not know everything the day that you open your business. I mean, I'm sure I'm still learning. I'm sure you're still learning, and it's just a continual learning process. So I just want to make sure and point that out, because I love the fact that you didn't have to know it all. You didn't have to know the networking, accounting. You didn't all the legal, all the stuff to, starting a business. It's like so overwhelming at times. So I appreciate that you jumped in and moved along as you taught yourself. So that's pretty cool.
That's a great point, Dave. I mean, no one knows everything. And as I say, it's been a great continuing education. At times it's been a little painful. Some of those lessons have stung a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's what you want to do,
right,
as opposed to what you want to be.
Sure.
I want to do stories. I want to tell stories. And if you start there with whatever your profession is, whatever your skill set is, and you trust your stuff, that, you are good at this. Right. And it's just a matter of hanging in there and making the connections, and things tend to take care of themselves as you learn along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so I want to, kind of unpack the story part for you from a minute there, Mark.
Sure.
What does make a great story from your perspective? I'm assuming that the end result is we want to encapsulate somebody, we want to engage them, we really want to get them into this story. But I'm assuming there's a bunch of, work that needs to happen prior to. Are there any simple things that, whether you're a sales professional, business owner, going out on your first date, whatever it is, you got a story to tell, and the better you tell it, the better you sell it, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Oh, no question. Well, I think there are three things in my mind that make a great story. Number one, it has to be unique / memorable. I mean, if there's nothing there that sets you apart from anybody else, okay, well, who are you?
Sure.
Why should I do business with you? Number two, I think you have to move people. You have to get them to feel something. You have to connect with that level, that emotional level. It's one thing to describe your wherewithal, and you want to do that.
Sure.
But at some point, people have to feel like they already know you and like you and trust you before they've even met you. So you
Sure.
have to get people to feel something. And then third, I think, for the purposes of what we do and helping brands, you have to provide an answer. You have to solve a problem for someone. You have to be there to provide value for that person. How can we help you get to where you want to be?
Sure.
And those are the three things I think that really make a strong story.
That's
putting
awesome.
those elements together that will really get you out there in a form that folks are going to feel like, yeah, okay,
Sure.
this is something I want to know more about.
Yeah, and I think those are great points. I wrote those down because I'm going to be making sure my stories are getting better as I improve myself as well. I think about Midwest Express back in the day, the airline, and the fact that, their unique claim to fame was 20, 25 minutes before landing, minding your own business. And all of a sudden you kind of get that, you get a whiff of like a chocolate chip cookie. And
Yeah.
before you know it, they're baking cookies on the flight. They're handing out warm chocolate chip cookies. I mean, just unheard of, from a airline perspective. And it did move people, it kind of connected you back to the last time you smelled the chocolate chip cookie, whether you were a kid or whether you baked them with your kids. So, and I think that there's such power in that. And I think we're so busy that we just forget that. And I know there's personalities, Mark, that just want to give the facts. We want to give as little, information as possible. Just want to dump something onto somebody and get out of there. From a marketing perspective, I got to believe that could really be a detriment to your brand if you don't position yourself right. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct, Dave. And I'm going to quote Steven Spielberg here, who said, "The heart comes first, the intellect will follow."
Oh, okay.
Get them, connect with them, and then they're going to want to know a ton more about you.
Right. Gotcha.
And, that's what we tell our clients. Sometimes, when we deal with clients who haven't done a lot of work with video, and it's like, okay, they want a video that's going to tell A, B, C, D, E, F, G, really dive into the weeds of all the minutia of everything they do. And it's like, well, that's going to be a 10-minute video and no one's going to watch it. So what you want to do, you want to describe some wherewithal, but you want to grab them, and then at the end, for more information, go to our website.
Sure.
That's what the website's for. If people really want to know about, your tolerances and throughput on your,
Sure.
your grinding machine, if they really want to get really into the weeds, that's there. But first you have to tell them about you. And just like the chocolate chip cookies on Midwest Express, I love that.
Yeah.
You want to get people to feel like, yeah, I like these folks. I want to do business with these folks. And then you get into the nuts and bolts.
Right. That's awesome. And I think that, I still use that to this day with my clients. I'm like, what's your cookie? What is it that you do that nobody else does? And that's a really hard question to ask and answer, because there's a lot of people that they don't know the answer to that. I mean, they don't have an answer. And they might want to say, I do it cheaper, I do it better. They'll come up with the kind of the generic answers. I'm assuming on your end then, if you have to dig deeper to really kind of understand the uniqueness. Otherwise, the video is going to be an average video, which probably isn't going to get nearly the success that you want. So are you digging deeper with a lot of your people?
Yes. You know, it all depends on who we're working with and who else is on that storytelling team. Now, we work with some really big clients that have marketing agencies and ad agencies who are really great, that have really honed and fine-tuned their brand.
Yep. And then you worked with a guy like me.
Yeah. You know what? We love guys like you. We like, you know,
no clue what I'm doing.
Yep. All the way up to, you know, we work with Brunswick Billiards and GE Healthcare. But, you know, for those folks, our job is just to be consistent with that carefully honed and fine-tuned brand. But for a lot of folks who are starting their own businesses, or they're trying to rebrand a little bit, we will ask a lot of questions, and we will drill down into what really is your differentiator. You might think you know it, but okay, ask yourself, what are my competitors doing? Are they doing the same thing? What makes me different? Am I a third generation family business? Do I have an employee owned business?
Sure.
Things like that really stand out.
Sure.
Do we hire, you know, do we hire a lot of vets? Do we supply continuing education for folks?
Sure.
You know, I mean, those little nuggets go a long way. It's like, hey, I remember these guys. They did this. Yeah. You know, we've done videos for folks, companies that have 3 generations of the same family working in the facility.
Sure.
You know, not as owners, but folks who are just so loyal to that company that their whole family legacy is built around that. They've provided these families with opportunities to grow and have great lives. And that's what you want to show. Right. You know, it's great to say, yeah, we produce this many widgets per hour and our throughput is this, and that's fantastic.
Right.
I want to know, hey, how good are you? And if I see 3 different generations of the same family talking about how great this company is, it's like, wow, okay, that's powerful stuff, and that's memorable.
Yeah. And I remember when we did our video, I think you guys traveled with me almost all day. And somehow you took like all that video and put it into 4 good minutes. I think the highlight for me was actually having people, you know, my clients, the third-party testimonial piece. That really kind of, when I see that on a video, you know, and it's authentic and it's genuine and it's, you know, revealing, I really think that kicks that video into the next level. Do you see that on your end, that's a pretty powerful tool?
No question, Dave. I mean, there are a lot of companies that if you go to their website, they have printed testimonials and quotes.
Sure.
And those are good.
Yep.
But it's a whole nother deal to see someone on camera with their body language and just how the genuine passion and emotion they have, thanking you for helping them hit their numbers, thanking you for getting their sales team in shape and getting them to a place where they're going to attract other top players.
Right.
You know, it's the video testimonials are so strong because of that. That emotion comes through, stuff you can't get on the printed page.
Sure.
And yes, it's one thing for you to say how great you are. We want to do that.
Yeah.
We want to definitely have that, you know, and toe that fine line. You want to beat the drum. You don't want to be too arrogant or anything like that.
Sure.
But it's 5 times better to have somebody else say, yeah, this is what Dave did for us.
Sure.
And other people are going to watch that saying, okay, you know, these are strong people with great companies, and I gotta call this guy because
they weren't paid actors, right, Mark?
Right.
I always think that's funny when you see that on TV, paid actor. You know, it's like, well, my gosh, number 1, they're paid. Number 2, they're acting. So that's not really, to me anyway. I mean, I'm Don't email me, okay, if you guys use paid actors.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, very rarely. I mean, if we're reenacting some sort of scenario for a training video or something like that, but the testimonials, never. I
Sure.
mean, it's just so much more genuine.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, the genuine nature of that. Even the actors who are professionals, there's something a little glossy about it.
Right.
It's not real. Whereas if it's just a regular person who's
Yep.
not trained to be on camera,
Right.
that emotion is so much more sincere, and it really connects so much more effectively.
That's awesome. So I want to ask you a question kind of off the cuff. It just made me
Yeah.
think of it. There's so many people like on LinkedIn today doing, taking their phone and just kind of talking into it and making a video. There's some power to that. When you move it from an amateur to a pro, I'm going to say, there's just a different feel about that. Do you struggle or fight that battle with people that go, I can make my own video, or my uncle Fester does video, or, do you run into that a lot, or,
Yeah.
what happens at that spot?
No, it's a great question. And two thoughts. I mean, for folks who want regular content every single day, the old flip phone's not a bad, or the old cell phone's not a bad deal, but at some point in your presentation of all your content, I strongly feel you need something that really looks polished, that looks as excellent as you.
Sure.
And yes, Dave, that is a constant battle. My nephew could do this. He has his cell phone, or he bought a webcam.
Yep.
Okay, well, anybody can get sound and picture these days.
Sure.
But who can tell your story? Does everybody know how to tell a story? And again, for little daily inserts with just a little 30-second, hi, here's your thought for today, the phone's an okay thing to do. But when you really want to put your content out there, if you don't invest in that, a bad video is way worse than no video. It's going to make you look cheap. It's going to make you look foolish. People are going to say, my God, who are these people?
Sure.
If this is how they want to represent themselves, why should I do business with them? Why should I have my company trust its product to these folks? Because obviously they don't care.
Right.
And, there are a couple of things about, bringing us in to do a video. Again, it's going to give you that highly polished look that's going to be really great reflectors of your brand. Also, it does a lot for morale for a team when they see that management has made this investment in them.
Sure.
It's like, we are going to promote you at a very nice level because we care about this brand. And that goes a long way too. That's just a nice little side effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, getting back to your question, you want to invest in your story. Don't be afraid to pay for that story. If it's whoever that is, if it's your SEO person, if it's your graphic designers, if it's someone on your staff that you're hiring full time to do all that, you want to get the best people.
Sure.
Don't be afraid to pay them, because boy, the ROI is going to be tremendous.
Absolutely.
If it's someone who does your press releases, or someone who, if you have in-house video, or if you want to bring in somebody from the outside, the investment comes back tenfold and then some, because the content, it's out there, it goes to so many different places, and you want to be represented in the best way possible on every platform.
And that's so true. I mean, obviously, like you said, if it's a daily occurrence that you're trying to video, then that probably isn't making sense. But I can say without a doubt, when I apply for speaking engagements around the country, the first thing they're asking for is a video, and so that's obviously, it's almost mandatory. So it depends on what you do and what your focus is. But you shared some really strong statistics that I kind of want to unpack with you, because
Sure.
You know, it's one thing for someone to say, oh yeah, video is great. But I tell you, when I started looking at these numbers and some of these statistics that I want to kind of work through with you, it was
Sure.
like, oh my gosh, this is really, I mean, it's almost like a mandatory. You know, video used to be like an extra, you know, well, now it's becoming just kind of like a mandatory thing. So when you say like a minute of online video has the same value as 1.8 million printed words on a website, what does that mean to you?
Well, it's when you read text, you're reading statistics, you're reading, you know, words put together, but do you really get a sense of who these people are? Have you seen them? Have you heard them talk? Have you heard other people they've done business talk about them?
Sure.
You know, there's just no substitute for that. Again, it's that emotional level, that organic connection, that a minute's worth of video, you know, is going to bring across much more effectively than any amount of words, because the words, you know, again, it's a screen telling you a little bit about this company.
Yeah.
Well, who is the company? Who's behind the company? And that's what video does. It opens up those avenues of a personal connection. I tell people all the time, I mean, if you have video, it's like going to 100 networking events every day.
Yeah.
You can get anywhere you want on the planet.
Yeah.
And here's the other stat that goes along with that one. And this is one of my favorites. You know, a video link in an introductory email increases the click-through rate to a product or service or company by 96%. So if you send out an email blast and it's just a PDF with some text, delete. If there's a playback button there, hey, well, who are these guys? Let's play this video. People just feel like they have to watch it. We're the video generation.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's just no substitute for it.
Wow. That's really powerful. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that one, because for anybody that does do any type of business development work, you know, it used to be back in the day when we were, you know, able to go places and meet with people.
Right.
It would be a business card. That would be kind of your, you know, connection. Well, that's pretty static, and there's not much there. And so now being able to lead with a video of whatever type, I mean, whether you're, you know, there's just so many ways you can go. I think, like I said before, my favorite thing is on my video is got the stories from my clients. And I mean, I love to promote my clients. So, you know, what a cool thing for a video, you know, to actually promote a client, and, you know, whether it's in that business development stage or wherever you're at. So I think, again, anytime you're increasing anything by 96%,
right,
look for that, right?
Oh, exactly. You know, exactly. And, you know, when you look at how a video and video content can impact every stage of a sales process. I mean, before a real sale, I mean, at first, to your point, you know, in these days of networking events, person to person, obviously, we're not going to be doing that for a while. It gets you in the room.
Yeah.
You know, video gets you in the room to explain who you are.
Right.
You know, and I've had some clients that have had some cutting edge products and technologies and companies that, you know, an email with just a text PDF is not going to cut it. People want to see how this works. They want it to be explained to them, and video can really crystallize that in a couple of minutes. You know, and video just continues to build on your selling process. You know, before that sale, it gets you in the room. During that sale, again, going back to what I said a little while ago, the video done right, the viewers of that are going to feel like they already know you. They haven't met you, but they already know you, and they can't wait to do business with you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then after the sale, you know, I tell businesses this all the time. Some folks are a little cowed by, well, I have all this video, but all the platforms and social media, they're changing every day. What I don't know what's hot, what's not. I don't know what to do, where to go. Well,
Sure.
no matter what the platform of the week is or the month is, I mean, right now we know what they are, but 5 years from now, who knows what they could be. No
Right.
matter what those platforms are, video is always going to be the top content for them by
Right.
leaps and bounds. So video just, it just perpetrates that sales process indefinitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and people learn one of three ways. They learn visually, okay, they learn by seeing, they learn by hearing, or they learn by doing. Well, statistics show that 2 out of 3 people learn by seeing. So video attacks 2 out of 3 people right off the bat because that's their preferred method of actually learning. So it doesn't have anything to do with how good your video is. I mean, video versus word just is a vast improvement there. So I like that you brought that up. And the other piece from the sales perspective, you alluded to it earlier, Mark, is that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. You know, we all have had good experiences buying a TV or a car or a house, and then we all have had bad experiences. And a lot of times it's that sales professional
Right.
is either making it, positive or negative. I like knowing somebody from a video first because I know their voice. I almost feel like I know them just from watching that video. So are you trying to bridge that gap right there? Is that one of the advantages of that video?
No question, Dave. And this is just so important for everyone. But, you talked a little while ago about, folks looking to make that step from where they are in corporate America to being their own thought leaders and things like that. And especially for those folks, I mean, yeah, you could send out your resume and spiff up your LinkedIn page, and that's all great. That's all great. But again, who are you?
Right.
Why should I hire you to do something for my company? Why should I invest in you? And video just eliminates any question of who this person is. Because right now, you've got a logo, you've got a company name, you've got all this good stuff, you've got your website. That's all great. You need all of that. But you need to go one step further. You need to put yourself out there so people can put a face and a voice with the company name, and if done well, connect with that person to where they really feel like, yeah, I know this person. I like them already. And I can't wait to meet them or talk to them on the phone about doing some business together.
Yeah. And as a sales coach and as a business coach myself, anytime I see something that says you're more likely to buy, my ears perk up, right? Well, then I see 85% more likely to buy, and I'm like, oh, okay, stop the presses. There's something here. So, help us. It says visitors who watch a video on a website are 85% more likely to buy. So, I mean, just that, I already have one on, so I'm thanks to you. If I don't have a video on my website and I'm listening to this, like tomorrow, that's on my to-do list, right? Is call Mark Concannon, get a video, because where else are you finding stuff that's increasing likelihood of buying by 85%? I mean, it's just not out there. So what's the difference between a static website and that video? What goes on in somebody's mind when they're seeing that?
Well, you're going to get visitors to a website who are interested in you, your service, your product. But okay, so you get them there. And the next step is getting them really interested in taking that next step and picking up the phone and shooting you an email. And I'll just go back to what I tell folks all the time. Okay, when's the last time you had to fix something that you opened a paper manual and started reading it? You go to YouTube, right?
Right.
You want to know how stuff is going to happen. So what happens? You go to that video. So when you go to a website and there's a video that explains everything, hey, here's what Dave can do for you. Here are his strengths. Here's some client testimonials. People are going to say, oh, yeah, click, 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 and watch all this stuff and just suddenly they're going to say, hey, this guy really has it together. This guy is successful. He can add value for me.
Yep.
So it's just the fact that we are this video generation right now, that video drives us. It's who we are. It's what we do. You see it all over the place. And to have a website, and a lot of folks, you know, they spend a lot of money building their websites, and that's great. But if you don't have the content on that website that's going to keep people there or get them to buy, you know, it's the sound of one hand clapping. You could have nice little still pictures and wonderfully written paragraphs, and that's all fine. But again, you know, to get back to answering your question, people's level of interest once they see you and once they feel, again, that connection with you is exponentially higher than just reading like, okay, this little line, I do this. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
But again, who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you different? And, you know, the folks who click on those playback buttons, and again, everybody almost feels like they have to watch it.
Sure.
They generally, their interest level increases tremendously if that video's done well and it clicks off all the boxes emotionally.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We make sure that that video is going to appeal to an audience. I mean, that's been my whole life, right?
Right.
Appealing to an audience, whether it was a TV news guy or now as someone who's producing videos, what is going to move people? And, you know, that's what we do. You know, that's our skill set. And it's just a lot of fun seeing those folks connect.
Yeah. So a personal question, what side of the camera do you like to be on better?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, I am a performer, you know, and occasionally, you know, I've done some work in front of the camera here, but it's sporadic,
Sure.
You know, and that's fine. I've had enough FaceTime for 50 lifetimes, you know, and once in a while back in those days when we had like in-person events, I would MC some things, and that's a lot of fun. You know, I enjoy that. But now, you know, Dave, really, I love it behind the camera because I just love putting people at ease to tell their story. So many people are like, I'm so afraid of going on camera, and that's natural. You know, it's a little intimidating. But, you know, what I tell them is, once you get going, starting to talk about who you are and what your business is and what you bring to the table.
Right.
You don't need to rehearse this because it's your life every day.
Yeah.
And once you get going, you're not even going to realize you're on camera. And I mean, our setup is very simple. It's myself, it's a videographer, some lights. We don't have a 6-person crew. I mean, our overhead is very lean and mean. We would like to keep budgets very reasonable.
Sure.
And, you know, in 20 years of doing our morning show on Channel 6, I dealt with a lot of very nervous guests who came into the studio, and without question, they should have been. I mean, our TV studios are kind of spooky. They all overhead light grids and these robotic cameras moving around. You know, so I developed a pretty good facility for putting people at ease. And the one thing I always tell them, again, and I mentioned this a little while ago, this is not live. It's not on TV. It's not a first take thing. If you mess up and want to start again, you can, you know, and we'll work with you and get you through it. And that, for me, is really rewarding. Just seeing people, you know, pop on camera, helping them pop on camera to tell their stories and improve their businesses.
Well, and I can say firsthand, Mark, that I was, you know, number one, I was intimidated to be on video. Number two, I was intimidated to have you there because of your status in the community. And so I was doubly paranoid. But you're 100% right. You really made me feel comfortable. I mean, you even taped one of our live audience presentations. So you know, that was awesome, so that people could see me actually speaking, because that's what I was, you know, promoting on my video, one of the things. And so, you know, you are 100% accurate in that you made me feel way more comfortable than I probably should have felt. If it would have been live TV, yeah, that's, I've done that before. And
Sure.
I think you're paranoid until you get on, right? And for
Right.
whatever reason, you sit down or whatever happens in that live segment, and you kind of get carried away and just tell whatever story you're telling. So personal experience, you did a great job for.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that, Dave. Again, once you got going, man, I didn't have to do much. You just really killed it out there. It was
Well,
great.
thank you. Thanks for the kind words. I just am encouraging people that are listening that it is not as difficult as it feels. And when you look at the amount of advantages that video brings, the last one that I wanted to, talk about was, people spend 88% more time on a website with video. I mean, we're all looking for ways, we're tracking, hey, this person was on my site
Right.
for 9 seconds. This person was on my video or on my website for, 90 seconds, and the huge difference, 9 versus 90 and all that. So 88% more time on a website with video. Do you normally see multiple videos then once somebody kind of clicks on one? Do they tend to just kind of stay in that on that website longer? Is that why you're seeing that increased time there?
Yeah, that certainly can be the case, depending on the web designer and how that is set up and how
Sure.
those videos are presented. Generally, an ideal scenario would be to have a number of videos on that landing page. One that's maybe the comprehensive video that tells the whole story, and then maybe 2 or 3 that are maybe short client testimonials, and or just maybe a deeper dive, and I say a deeper dive like a minute,
Yeah.
just on one aspect of the company. If somebody's particularly interested in logistics, okay, here's one video just about logistics, about what we do,
Sure.
things like that. But the easy answer is people stay longer because there's just more stuff.
Okay.
There's more stuff on the website. There, it's okay. Here's a still picture. Here's
Yeah.
here's this printed testimonial. You read that in like 5 seconds. But if you have several minutes worth of really quality video that's going to keep their attention, again, there's more for them to do there. There's more reason for them to hang out.
Sure.
And that's a great advantage. The longer they hang out, chances are the better your chances are at making a sale.
Wow. Yeah. So again, when you start looking at the numbers here, the power of the video all of a sudden takes on a whole new persona. And we're seeing more and more video, like I said before, on LinkedIn. It's all of a sudden, I'm getting to the point where if it's just text, I'm not even really looking at it anymore.
Yes.
If you picture, I think there's like 3 levels for me. Text, I just kind of blow by. Picture, I kind of stop and look. If I'm interested, I'll learn more. And then video, when I see that play button, that that triangle that I want to click, it's like, I don't know. But also, which is another thing I want to touch on before we land here, the first few seconds of this video is got to be more and more important, because I'm realizing I used to do, if I was doing an event and I would be inviting, let's say I'm doing work for an association, and I would say, hey, welcome, I'm Dave Melenda, positive player, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people would already click off of that. So I'm starting with a compelling question
Yes.
that actually talks about content. So are you noticing that first X number of seconds is just crucial for people, whether they stay on a video or not?
Absolutely. And I mean, let's face it, our attention spans, are they expanding?
Yeah.
No, they're getting really small with all these
exactly.
streams of media out there. You got to grab them. I'll quote
Yeah.
2 great music legends. Tom Petty,
Sure.
"Don't bore us, get to the chorus."
Okay.
And Smokey Robinson, "If you don't grab them in the first 10 bars, you lost them."
Okay.
And that's exactly what you said. I mean,
Sure.
you've got to, again, it's got to be memorable and it's got to connect. And the third part of that is it's got to connect quickly, because
yeah.
there's just so much other stuff out there that if people aren't feeling like they're invested in that first few seconds,
Right.
chances are you're going to lose them. So yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon and a real challenge for us. I mean, you know, because there are a lot of stories out there that are pretty detailed and pretty deep, and you know, you can't get into every bit of minutia, but you do have to hit quite a few points. And our challenge has been to do that in an ever shrinking window,
Yeah.
just because of the realities of where we are.
Yep.
But you know, I like what you said earlier about you know, you look at print, picture, and then video, and that level. And I have a friend who has a saying, it's, you know, it's crawl, walk, run.
Yep.
You know, and video is running, man. That's when you are up there and you are going full bore,
Yeah.
and putting yourself out there the best way you can.
That's awesome. So let me ask you something. Brewers or Packers? What did you enjoy covering more when you were in the sports world?
Wow, that's
I
a
know.
great question.
It's like saying which is your favorite kid. I know, but
No, I got to tell you, I came here in 1987, to your point, at the age of 9.
yep, exactly.
In the middle of Paul Molitor's hitting streak,
Oh.
the 39 game, and you talk about getting introduced to a big league market.
Nice.
My goodness,
Yeah.
that was unbelievable.
Nice.
You know, it was great fun. You know, and I covered one of my last jobs as a sportscaster. I was actually working with Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Okay.
At this point, post Channel 6, I was doing some freelance for them. I covered the Packers' run to their last Super Bowl in 2010 and 2011, which was, you know, just amazing.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, it's just because of the proximity of it. I would probably go with just the Brewers.
All right. Good
You
man.
know, they play a ton of games. You get
Yep.
to go to a lot more games. Packers are an event, and they're, you know, it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's legendary,
Yeah.
having been at Lambeau and in that press box and all that stuff.
Well, at least you got a press box, and it wasn't like 20 below, and you're standing outside, right? You were
Yes.
warm.
Oh, yes. I mean, some of our videographers, I
Oh.
mean, man, they'd come back after the game looking like they had been with Shackleton in the Antarctic. I mean, these big moon suits. I mean, it was crazy. Those guys are heroes.
Yeah.
But yes, I was lucky to be an indoor dog.
Sure. Yeah.
For those games. But it was just a real privilege to be part of that, and, you know, covered a lot of the Bucks and some of the other clubs too, and just high school stuff. It was a lot of fun being part of all that. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, hey, what would be, so for somebody listening, as we land in here today, somebody's listening and they want to learn more about video, they want to learn more about how you can help them, or they just are unsure of their current video.
Sure.
What's the best way for somebody, Mark, to get in contact with you?
Well, our website is ConcannonCommunications.com. You can reach me at Mark, M-A-R-K, at ConcannonCommunications.com.
Awesome.
On our website, my phone number is there as well. And anytime you want to reach out, anybody who feels like they have a question about video, how do you go about it? We talk for free. It doesn't cost a dime. I'd be happy to talk to anybody who wants to have their story, you know, put into a very effective video. I have some great ideas after talking to folks about what types of videos work best for them and on what platforms it would work best. And yeah, you know, again, doesn't cost a dime to call or exchange emails. Be happy to engage, and then see if you know, that company or that person wants to take some next steps. We can talk a little bit more and drill down on the specifics of it, and produce something great for you. You know, we'd love to help you tell your story.
And if you do like the Packers better than the Brewers, definitely reach out to Mark and tell him why. Because, hey, I'm right there with you. You know, live in Milwaukee. It's great to drive 30 minutes and you're at the ballpark.
Yeah.
Not this year, but next year, hopefully.
I know, man. Missing that big time. Wow.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's getting old watching reruns from 1987 World Series and stuff like that. It's, you know.
I hear you. I miss it. Yeah. Hopefully sometime soon. Sooner than later.
Exactly. Well, Mark, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for investing the time and helping us with, you know, with the story, with our brand, and understanding the real importance of the video, because I don't think that we know it's important, just because we're told it's important, but I don't think that we really invest a lot of time in understanding that. So I'm glad that we unpacked that today, and thank you for investing all this time in this.
Well, Dave, thanks so much for the opportunity to appear on your podcast. I've seen other episodes. It's a great, great presentation, and it's really honored to be part of what you're doing, and just great to see you again and talk a little bit and catch up.
Yes, for sure. And, you know, that's the only drawback that you have is video is timeless. So, you know, I keep thinking, hey, I got a video, but I'm sure it's probably time to get another one. So 2021 is probably the year for us to make some more video. I'll never forget. I remembered like it was yesterday that I was like, Mark, I want this video to have action in it. We were trying to, you know, shoot it in a mall. We were trying to shoot it in downtown Milwaukee. We were, you know, and it was like nothing worked, but I still have that same vision. So I don't know how to do it, but I just still want, you know, I love the movement. I love Milwaukee Public Market. We tried all these different ideas, and it just we settled on a customer's office, which was actually a pretty cool venue. So it worked out well. So if you're listening, again, jump on Mark's website and see some video there. I'm assuming you have video there, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you didn't, then I'm like, oh, man, we're not even going to.
That's right. It's like, yeah, practice what you preach here, dude.
Oh, yeah, I don't have any video on my website.
Yeah, I'm a video company, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all writing. You just read it. So awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it, and look forward to getting back out and about and catching up with you sometime real soon.
That'd be great, man. And again, appreciate the time and the opportunity.
Absolutely. Take care.
Yeah, you too.